Tammy Bell, and I'm feeling really upset. Still super, super sad about the loss of my son. I had Thanksgiving without him, I had Christmas without him, New Year's, I even had a birthday. He's super, super nice and awesome. He's really thoughtful. I didn't get the nice long card that he always sends me. It's been 140 days without him, no texts, no nothing. So I'm super sad.
And following this, this incident, what would you want the public to know as your family files this wrongful claim?
We like justice. I think it's unfair that people are running scared and getting shot in the back by the police. I expect more of the police. I think they should defuse it. I don't know, I'm not a police officer, but I'm very upset and I want justice. It's not okay. Nobody would want this.
Sorry. What do you want the community to know about Kevin? This is what we're hearing, how he died, but how do you want him remembered?
Now, he was nice. Everybody who knew Kevin loved Kevin. Kevin, he got a friend everywhere he went. There was somebody he met. He was nice. He was a super, super nice guy. I want people to remember him, and I see people all the time. Acknowledge him and tell them how they miss him like I do. That's helped a little bit, tiny bit.
Yeah, thank you. It's been months since the incident to actually come to this point to file this claim against Clark County. How is your family feeling?
We're all sad and we're all at a loss. We're terrible. We're still looking at the door, wondering when he's coming through. We're sad.
And this has brought up a lot of conversation in Clark County. One of them in particular is about body cameras for law enforcement. Would you be willing to give us your take on that? Do you wish they had them? Should this have been done a long time ago? How do you feel?
Absolutely. I definitely would like body cameras. Me as a black person, I'd feel 100% better getting pulled over by the police who are trying to get me. I'd love a body camera. Please, bring them today, yesterday.
Earlier this week, a judge here in Clark County made some remarks about the case. Is there anything that you want to share about that incident?
Hope they look into it, but please just keep loving Kevin and think about Kevin. It's not fair.
I don't mean to take you back, and if it's okay with you, I think because of our microphone situation, we'll kind of move down the row if that's all right. And I don't mean to take you back to this day because I know it cannot be easy, but when you found out, we've obviously over the last year, and let's just be honest, years, we've heard of black people being killed by police. But when you found out, this time it was your son.
Exactly.
What went through your mind? How have you dealt with that?
It was horrible. I was driving and I have iPhone, so I can find him. So I was able, thank God that I share with him. So I was able to locate them. They hadn't called the family. So it's horrible. It was bad.
I'm so sorry. If we can, we can move down. If you guys would like to share your thoughts as well. If you guys are comfortable, I will move the microphone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. We'd like to be able to hear you though. Okay. Should be good for everybody. Did I move you on? Okay.
Ms. Bell, Mr. Peterson, and Olivia, I'm very sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry that we're all here having to talk about your son's death and the loss of your loved one. I can only imagine how difficult this is facing all of us, and thank you for being here. I wonder, Mr. Peterson, if you can speak to what Judge Zimmerman said last week on the hot mic. He disparaged you personally and your motives, and I wonder if you could respond to what the judge said.
Well, I could say, I'll tell you this. Darvin Zimmerman doesn't know me, and the comments that he made about me and my son doesn't reflect who we are as men. Kevin is an outstanding young man, well loved by his family members and friends, those who knew him. And I'll leave it at that.
Would you like to see the judge retire, resign? Do you want to, what kind of action would you like to see in light of what he said?
Those things I'll leave up to my lawyer. For right now, my goal is to make sure my son gets justice for what was done to him.
What do you hope for in the future? I hear justice, obviously, but what do you want to see?
Change, obviously. We, just like Tammy just said, body cams, definitely, because when you're pulling not just blacks, Hispanics, whites, anybody, they need to have body cams on them because that shows what the actual person and they're pulling over is doing. So yeah, I like to see body cams. I like to, for the officers who are involved in these shootings, be accountable, held accountable for what they're doing. You're playing God. You're taking lives. Don't do that.
What do you think about how it's been handled thus far?
It's been handled poorly. We haven't heard one thing as of yet from the Clark County Sheriff's Department about the killing of my son. We haven't heard nothing.
That's gotta be hard.
As this claim is filed this week, what would you like to see come from this claim?
Justice. Just like I just said, justice. The officers, all three officers involved, held accountable. You shot a man in the back while he was running away. He didn't. They weren't in immediate danger, so therefore their service pistol shouldn't have been drawn. It shouldn't have been fired at all.
Are you guys ready to move down the line? Olivia, are you comfortable?
Is there anything you want to share as we move down the line, before we move down the line?
Good.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for doing double duty here
No,
tonight.
of course. We're all a team. It's okay. Olivia, if you will, if you'll tell us, you're in an unimaginable position. How are you feeling? How have these last few months been?
I don't really know how to explain it. It's overwhelming and it's really hard. Kevin was my best friend. I went to him for everything, anything, doesn't matter. So it's just been very hard.
And I know you're raising a son.
Daughter,
Oh, I'm
but
so
it's okay.
sorry.
But yeah, he was the best father. Couldn't ask for more from him as a father, as a partner, anything. He did everything and more. He never had to ask for anything.
What do you hope to see out of this? What do you hope for your daughter?
Just that she doesn't have to hear bad things about her dad, because a lot of people are saying things that's just not who he is, and I just want her to remember him for who he was and how much he loved her and just the way he was.
And I know you guys haven't seen it, but how do you want to remember? What's the standout for you?
He's probably one of the greatest people I've ever met. I've met a lot of people in school and things, but he's just different than anyone. He's very genuine, very real, just one of the greatest people I've ever met.
And can you spell your first and last name?
Yeah, Oliviaselto.
And will you say your last name?
Celto.
Celso. Just want to make sure we say it right. Thank you.
And do you go by senior, Kevin Peterson, senior?
I do.
Okay.
Is there anything else that any of you, want to share or feel you just want to get across to the community?
A lot of people know my son. Kevin played football, the Park Rose Youth Program. Won 2 city titles, 2010, 2012, where I coached him a couple of years. But he's just an awesome kid. Very loved. Had to be, he had to be pretty much like the class clown, so to speak. He was just, fun-loving kid. Very outgoing, loved by many people.
So I will say, I grew up in Vancouver. I including Kevin, and that is, I think, the biggest thing that they're taking out of this is, I guess, how he's being remembered, and that's very important to them. Have you been, I don't want to say surprised, because I doubt it as his dad, but are you surprised by the community's outpouring and support?
Definitely. It was huge. His visual we had after he was, shot and killed, it was humongous. I mean, thousands of people showed up for his visuals, as well as a march we had. Thousands of people showed up for that. So the community support has been definitely overwhelming. This has been huge. Definitely.
Who's behind us, or behind you?
It's my family. Nephew, sister, just my whole family, my mom, my brothers, my wife. Yeah.
Why was it important, again, silly question, why was it important for all of you guys to be here today?
That's support. I mean, we back each other. If, that they want justice for their family member, as simple as that. If the shoe were on the other foot, we'd be right there, right behind them. We have each other's back.
Mr. Peterson, what was it like when you heard that another young black man was killed not long after your son was killed by police? What was your reaction to hearing that?
Just in awe. Like, what are you guys doing? Why is it that we're being targeted? Because you don't see white people being targeted as much as blacks or Hispanics, and it's a little irritating. So every time you turn on the TV, you're seeing another black person being killed by law enforcement, which, they're here to protect and serve, and they're not doing that.
Have you been in touch with Genoa Donald's family, or you guys?
No, I have not. No.
And Mark, this question is for you. Mike's.
I thought that was Kelly's job.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
sorry. Mark, can you talk about the specifics of this claim and kind of what the next steps are, and what you and the family are asking for from the county?
So Washington state law requires you to file a claim with the government before you can file a lawsuit. So this claim is a prelude to the lawsuit. What we're looking for is exactly what Mr. Peterson said and what Kevin's mother said, and that is justice for Kevin.
And there's no monetary, at this point, it's too early to talk about compensation or that sort of thing?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the way the investigation has been going on the police side of things? Have you been let in at all to any sort of information as to how it's going, what the conclusions are, or at least when you expect to?
We've been following the investigation, obviously. We have our own investigator who is doing an independent investigation. He's standing right behind me, Mr. Visser, John Visser. So we will continue to follow their investigation, and we're going to do a very aggressive investigation of our own as well. Our goal here is to get out the truth, and in my experience, it can take a fight, but eventually the truth does come out with a little bit of work and nudging.
Is the county the only party being named in the tort claim?
The claim, per Washington law, is against the county and the state of Washington. The lawsuit will be more specific in naming parties.
Do you know how soon that lawsuit will be filed?
We can file it anytime 60 days after the claim is filed. Your county requires claims to be sent in the old-fashioned way, which is by certified snail mail. So 60 days after they receive the certified snail mail.
And this claim has already been filed this week?
Yes, we mailed it by certified yesterday.
Got it.
So they may or may not have it in hand yet.
Got it.
Can you speak to whether or not you would seek to name either the city or the officers that were involved directly?
We will certainly be naming the Clark County Sheriff's Department and likely other defendants as well. And on your way out, I have a copy of the claim for all of you.
The day after the shooting, Clark County Sheriff Chuck Atkins held a press conference where he said, and I,
Is this directed to,
yeah.
I'm gonna move them, I'm just
So-
trying to figure out,
Kelly's
no,
gonna
go
help
ahead.
out with the
I was
mics again.
I was thinking the same thing.
sorry guys. Sorry, Mr. Peterson, I
That's
had
okay.
decided you
That's
would
all right.
answer this.
That's all right, it's fine.
Just his press conference that he held, where he felt like he was trying to get out in front of it and give his agency's side of things. I'm just curious how you kind of you took that, and then how things came out after the fact with what he had said.
Well, after hearing the press conference, after initially getting on site, hearing that they said my son fired 2 rounds, I knew it was all BS. And for him to come out and say the same thing, that my son fired 2 rounds, me and my wife initially said, prove it. You had to show us some shell casings, show us some gunpowder on his hand, give us some type of evidence before you put out this false narrative saying that our son shot at law enforcement. So to me, it was a little irritating for him to put that out there, not knowing the facts.
I think everyone in this room knows this, but I'm going to reiterate it. The investigation found Kevin did not fire the gun. Furthermore, Kevin did not point the gun at officers until after he was shot. And after he was shot, he appears to raise his arm with something in his hand. And at this point, we don't know if that something was a cell phone or a gun.
I can't imagine truly what it would be like having to see this unfold as parents and loved ones, and then watching surveillance video of those moments. I mean, how have you guys dealt with that? I'm sorry to ask.
It's a day-to-day process. I mean, we're used to Kev walking through the door with his daughter, bringing her over to come, visit, putting her in my arms, just hanging out with us. So it's real hard because when you're used to something for 21 years, and then now that he's gone, it's tough, but it's just a day-to-day process. It's tough for all of us because we spend a lot of time together. So for him to be gone, it's tough.
You guys did a great job. Is there anything else that you want to put out there, or we can ask? Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. If you have any follow-up, feel free to give me a call. Some of you have been in contact with our communications manager, Carrie Farrell. She's actually taken a job elsewhere. So in the meantime, I am your contact.